All right, guys, happy Wednesday, September 20th. Coming to you excited, coming to you full of energy, and coming to you full of gratitude as always. Listen, no matter who you are, how many times you've been on these calls, if you're a first timer, if you're a guest that comes here regularly, I just want to say thank you, right? You don't have to be here. You choose to be here. So it's always my responsibility to make sure that I prepare. And if you've ever heard this, you'll hear me say it over and over and over again. I like to go full tilt in these sessions. So it is my opportunity to bring us all together, ask questions that will foster this collective wisdom. But I just want to send a message of gratitude for each of you for just being here, because I know how valuable your time is. So I'm actually going to go over to, let me see who I have on the screen. Let's see. Damien's driving. Let me see who else I have here. All right, so Mandy, the mic is going to go to you. I always, and if you're a guest here, this is the first time, I always have someone bring us out on the field. This is your Deion Sanders talk. This is what we're saying before we go out of the tunnel onto the field for game day. But no pressure to you, Sammy, but hit him with it. What's the message? What's the sentiment for the day? Let's go, Mandy, top of the morning.
Good morning. So today, I've been struggling with waking up. So if anybody's out there struggling, don't give up. I woke up it went from 6:30 to now 5:30, and I've just been up early working. But just a message of gratitude. Just keep going. I mean, I know in this market, in this era, it can be tough, but it also depends on you. And I realized that through my follow-up. If we're not following up, we're not achieving, we're not succeeding. Like nowadays, you have to go out and chase it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. And, it does take some time, with creating content, you know, trying to stay on top of your social medias with your now I have lead funnels, which is awesome. And scheduling, consultations and time blocking. So just keep going. I mean, if you fail today, you still got it's not even the afternoon yet. You got to keep going. Start tomorrow, start today. Just keep going. I know sometimes, like today, I had a goal of being at 5 a.m. working out. By 6 a.m. I was going to start my training on how to create good content where I'm not giving too much information, but I'm also eye-catching people. And I was supposed to learn that. Today's Wednesday, on Monday, but I'm just going to keep going, because if not,
I
I'm just
love
going
it.
to get stuck there with anxiety. So don't give up.
You know what? I love this. And that's a great sentiment. And also, when you think about your follow-up game, no matter what, and we talk about this all the time, everyone on this call needs to have a solid follow-up game. They need to understand their CRM. They need to use their CRM to their benefit. They need to understand the tasks, the touch points, how to use it to truly, truly help you nurture, because you are only human. If you're just trying to keep things in your head, or, oh, I have all my contacts in my phone, it's not a system. You have this technology to help you. And so don't make the excuse of, oh, I need to figure out my CRM. Well, what are you waiting for? That is something that should be a non-negotiable. It's like drinking water. It's like brushing your teeth. It's like flossing your teeth. I need to make sure that I'm managing my CRM so I can nurture these leads. They can have constant contact with me, and I can essentially get them in a contract and to support my cause of wanting to serve and help these people build generational wealth. So I love that, Samandi. If you talk to any top agent in the industry, their CRM is their right hand. So I appreciate that sentiment, and let's go ahead and get started. So you guys, quite a few things that are happening in the economy right now. And there's a few things that are going to be happening that are going to be talked about today. And the Fed's going to be talking about today, excuse me. So I think it's important that just from an economic standpoint, you guys have an understanding of what's going on in the economy, because if you know what the consumers are potentially thinking about, then you guys can do a better job at addressing these things that are happening. Oh my God, did you hear what's going on with the labor strike with the 3 major car companies? No. Well, how is that going to potentially impact the buying market? Is this going to impact us? So if you know what's happening from a high level of economics, then you can have deeper conversations with your consumers. It goes far past that we're in an inventory struggle and interest rates are at an all-time high. It goes far past that. So first and foremost, you guys need to spend the time getting educated about what's happening in our economy locally as well as nationally. Now, if you've been watching the news, if you've been hearing the news, if you've been reading the news, then you know right now that the United Auto Workers are on strike right now. There's a few thousand people are on strike strike right now. Now that number can go into the thousands, and that could potentially impact our economy by $450 million a day. Now, we're not there yet, but if by the end of the week, the three major car companies don't come to some type of decision to offer better products, or better financial incentives for employees, that's going to go on even longer, and that's going to impact our economy. Another thing, government shutdown. I know that you guys have heard of this. This is something that is real. We don't know if that's going to happen, but that is something that's in the talks right now. So I want you to be conscious and look and read and hear these things. That way you're just really, really astute about what's happening with local as well as national economy. And then lastly, student loan payments restart in October. So since pandemic, so it's been a 3-year, let's call it suspension. So for the last 3 years, people haven't had to pay the student loans. Now, what's going to happen in October is that people are now forced to go and make those payments once again. So all that money that they had to spend on different things to feed the economy, to do other things, now that money is going back into the student loan. So how can that potentially impact our economy? So I really want you guys to think about these things. I want to share a couple articles that I pulled up for you guys to look at. A couple things. There is an article in Slack. I'll just drop it here for all of our guests on the line. Let me move this. I'm going to copy this so you guys have this report. This report is going to be a really good report for you to look at some things to keep on your radar about the market. And let me just put this here. Boom. All right, cool. And now let's continue on. All right, so what you'll see is September market report, 3 under the radar buyer trends. We're not going to go into all of the trends, but what you're going to see is right here. So since 2018, you can see the share of buyers who bought for their first time. In 2021, first-time home buyers represented 37% of buyers. Well, right now, first-time home buyers now make up roughly 50% of all purchases. 2 years ago, that figure was at 37%. So it's important for you guys to look at this and realize, okay, if that's who's making up the mass amounts of home buyers, around 50%, like that's the reality. Whatever the interest rates are today, that's the reality. So if those people are in the market, it's not our responsibility to go and convince everybody else why they should purchase a home right now. If they're ready, they're ready. If they're in the market right now, they understand the interest rates, they get the math, they get date the rate and marry the house. I fucking hate that statement. But what I'm saying here is that the people that are in the market now, that are out getting pre-approved, that are shopping for homes, that are showing interest, that are getting a pre-qualification online, those are the consumers, and most of them being first-time home buyers that are actually ready for this market despite. So it's not your job to go out there and try to convince the masses of all the reasons why they should buy. It's to focus on the people who are ready to buy now, despite the circumstances. So I thought this was a really good article. You guys have that link. It's down below. And there's another one here that I wanted to share with you. Investopia. You guys can go in here and you guys can get all kinds of different information about the market, personal finance, banking, investing, so on and so forth. So what's great about this is that it will take you through trends. You'll get to see where the 30-year mortgage are. You'll start to see what's driving this. You'll start to hear about inflation. Obviously, they have all the different reports from all the different months. And this report in itself, you guys, is just something really good to reference, to have as a part of your morning reading. So when someone asks you about the market, you're not just thinking locally, you're thinking nationally. You can have some in-depth conversations because let's face it, most people are going to come to you about some type of financial recommendations during this process, right? Hey, Princess, well, what do we do? Or what should we do? Or I'm thinking about this, or I heard about the economy, or I heard about the shutdown. I heard about how is that going to impact us as a buyer, right? We have to have some level of conversations that are going to help give them confidence. If we can't give them confidence, then they're just going to go somewhere else and find the next realtor that's going to give them great information about what's actually happening in the reality around us. And so what I want you guys to do, and I want to encourage you, and I talk about this all the time, spend the time looking, reading, and listening to the news and understanding it. That way, when a consumer asks you about it, you can understand if it's smoke, if it's fear, and if there's ways for you to be able to overcome that based on what you understand about the market, about the economy, and what's actually happening. So I want to give you guys some tools, some resources, and some places to go to actually get the information, to read up on these things, be conscious about what's happening around us. And I want to hear from some of our lender partners today. I know we got some big news happening in the Feds today. Some big news could come down. I don't know if that means that interest rates are going to stay, if the interest rates are going to go up. I've been reading information about a dot plot. I don't know how much that impacts where the Feds are going to go with interest rates, but I'd love to hear from some of our lender partners on the call today. If you guys can shed some insights, some light on what's actually happening in the market, and then I want to turn it over to you guys to hear from you what you're actually seeing, what you're experiencing, and the communication that you're having with the consumers at a very high level. So Jeff, team, who wants to go first? Let's just, Jeff, you want to go first, and then Ashley, you go second?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll let Ashley talk a little bit more about the Fed, but to Elias's point about getting to know the market, and I would just, of course, I'm a lender, so I'm going to say this, but partner with your lender, and because that's what they're in every single day, looking at these reports. I mean, we're talking to borrowers, we're talking to them about their, financial, all of their financials, what's happening in the market. So partner with your lender, and that will, give you a different perspective and stuff. So, like I said, I'm going to let Ashley talk about the Fed. She's got some good information on that and where we're going. And the dot plot, you're right, Elias, on the dot plot and kind of what's coming. But a few things outside of that, which you mentioned. One, the government shutdown. I mean, keep your eyes on this. I mean, regardless of the politics of everybody out there, it looks like the House of Representatives is headed towards not approving any continuing resolutions in order to keep the government open beyond the end of September. Now, typically they run this out to the very end, and then they come together and they put something together. But if we have a government shutdown, I mean, this is different than the debt ceiling. We'll still be able to pay our debts. Government shutdown, we're not going to be able to pay the government employees. So, military, of course, any other government employee out there that, it can affect us in different ways. Of course, IRS, Social Security, more on a consumer level, and all of us on maybe TSA. So you'll start to feel it at the airports and different staffing levels, and it's going to permeate the economy in different ways. But either way, it's not good for the economy. So we'll keep your eye on that. And unfortunately in our business, and we don't want this, but typically bad news leads to people seeking shelter, investors seeking shelter. And when they seek shelter, they're putting their money into treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities. When they're buying those up, that pushes rates down. So these kind of things might actually end up helping rates. Now, it might be a short-term help. So we don't ever want to wish for a government shutdown or a UAW strike or one of the next points I'll touch on. But it could actually impact rates in a positive way because people are seeking shelter because of the uncertainty. Again, investors, markets hate uncertainty. So if there's uncertainty around the UAW strike and how that's going to affect people's spending. I mean, there are tens of thousands of UAW workers. Other unions will support the UAW. So Teamsters might come out and, not cross the UAW picket line. So could have wide-ranging effects if this UAW strike continues and the government shutdown. Another market mover that we're going to have in about 2 weeks is, and this is really what's going to turn this market one way or another, is the jobs report. So October 6th, the BLS jobs report comes out on the first Friday, typically of every month. And that's really what, the market is waiting to see some serious movement in. The jobs report for August that came out at the beginning of September was at 187,000, was a little lower, but it still wasn't that market mover. So we and I'll let Ashley touch on the Fed because all this plays into the Fed's decision along with inflation. So she'll be able to tell you about what the Fed's going to do today, what they'll probably do at their next meeting, and how that's going to affect rates. But bottom I'll let Ashley talk about the Fed, and then we can talk about the ramifications of what the Fed does and their longer term in terms of your buyers and what's going to happen potentially with the market. So, Ashley, you want to?
Jeff, let me pause you for a quick second because spoken like a true expert. If you were to drop a couple resources for agents right now, if they just wanted to heighten their knowledge, heighten their dialogue, heighten their awareness, if you can drop a few links in the chat below of places that you would recommend for them to go just to do some morning reading. And you guys, when we talk about morning reading, this needs to be a part of your flow. Like, understand what's going on around you and like make that part of the daily, right? There's people that right now that have this on in the background and they're listening, they're making their coffee, they're doing their hair. I think that there's a part of that every single morning that you guys should be reading. Take one article. I'm not saying overload yourself, but there's tons of things that you guys should be reading about every single day, because if the true desire is to be the best for your consumer, you have to start by educating yourself and being a wealth of knowledge. And it just starts with 15 minutes to thrive, 30 minutes to condition yourself every single day. And at the end of the month, you look back like, wow, I feel so good about the market. No matter what somebody says to me, I feel good that I can actually have a very intelligent conversation about that. So Jeff, if you can, drop some of the links down below and let's go to Ashley. Ashley, thanks for being on. I think you're in the car, you parked somewhere. So I'm looking forward to this. And shout out to you, Otis, really quick. Otis, bro, I see the definition in your arms, bro. That's right, man. He's been working hard, dude. I appreciate that, man. I see you.
Awesome. I appreciate that, man. Otis. Trying to get big like you.
Dude, I see you, man. I see you. All right, Ashley, let's go. Hit him with it.
All right. So if I start breaking up, let me know and I'll turn my camera off. I am parked, so hopefully it doesn't happen. I think the best place to start for people who maybe don't follow the market, don't understand what the heck mumbo jumbo is going on, maybe they're newer real estate agents, is understanding what inflation is. So during COVID, if you guys remember, everybody gave out all this free money. Everybody got checks, you got the PPP loans, and they put a ton of money in the economy, and there weren't enough things. So everybody started raising prices. So that's what inflation is. And then the Fed went, oh no, we have to balance the economy. We got to take the money back out to rectify the situation. And so that's what they've been trying to do by raising rates. And so today they may think they have started to do enough. There's a lot of conflicting opinions on that. Most people are not expecting them to raise rates today. Most economists are not expecting them to raise today. But what's going to be important is their comments. In the second half of their meeting today, they're going to make comments. Are they going to acknowledge that, yes, we've done enough for inflation? No, I seriously doubt they'll say that. But we've made a little bit of an impact? Even if they hint that they've done something for inflation, that will send the markets thinking, well, maybe in November they won't hike. So we're basically trying to read what they're saying today to determine, are they going to hike in November or are they not going to hike in November based on what's happening today? And all of those news articles that you brought up are going to come into play, because are they going to be long-term affecting core inflation, which is what they're looking at, and jobs? And those are the reports that Jeff was mentioning that they're going to be looking at. And so we want to know, what's their opinion? Have they thought that, we've cut enough jobs or that we've infected inflation enough, or do they think we still have more work to do? And that's going to determine the trajectory of rates starting today and in November. At some point, inflation, if you look at all the charts, is coming down. It's just a lot of the time the Fed overswings, and most economists think, yeah, you guys have done enough. There's a lot of lagging indicators on these reports you're just not looking at. Most economists think they've done so much, they've done enough already, but really they're known to overswing. So they could be another one in November. We just kind of have to watch the comments now, and then it's really going to be important when that jobs report comes out. I think it's the 6th, Jeff said. I have to look. I'm pretty sure it's the 6th. The jobs report and core inflation, when that comes out later, to look at those. And those are going to be indicators of what's really going to happen with rates. And I think as far as now, I did just want to touch on first-time homebuyers. 95% of my business is first-time homebuyers, the max majority. And I'll tell you, they don't know and they don't care. They just want you to give them, like you said, confidence that, hey, this is a great time to buy. Yeah, interest rates are up. Don't worry. We can do 2-1 buy downs. We can get you a great deal. We can ask for seller credits. You'd never be able to do down payment assistance if rates were low. Those type of things, that'll perk them up. And then they go out shopping. I don't get a lot of pushback because they don't know. They just want to feel like you know, and that you're confident. And as long as you're confident and you know that this is a great market for them, and if they can afford to buy, I believe it is a great market for them. That's really what they're looking for, is just guidance and confidence, and the rest of this stuff, it's just noise. So I did, for you guys, put in the chat, I follow MBS Highway, which is something that we as lenders have access to. Most lenders you talk about will also be following that. You can screenshot it or crop it, however, and use it as a green screen. Take a video this morning and look like the expert, just read from it. And then later today, after the Fed talks about it, you can go to Mortgage News Daily, which Jeff put into the comments, and then you can give them an update on what happened with the Fed comments. So that way you can look like you know what's about to happen, and then afterwards you can give them an update, and it's great for social media.
Love it. And Ashley, if you can, talk to us a little bit about dot plot, just in layman's terms, like what actually is a dot plot. You guys can find more information about the dot plot. And let me go back to this really quick so you guys can see. Vernon, I'll make sure to drop these links once again. But if you guys go to Investopia, you guys will be able to read a lot of information about dot plots, so on and so forth. But in layman's terms, Ashley, like what is this and how does that go into play, and how does that factor into what we're seeing with interest rates?
Okay, I'm going to have to revert to Jeff. I do follow the dot plot, but
That's okay.
I talked to a financial advisor and he keeps telling me the dot plot's wrong. So I don't follow it too closely. Go ahead and give me your opinion, Jeff.
Well, the dot plot is basically they survey all the Fed members and where they think in their minds, not as a collective, but as an individual, where rates are going to be in the future, come 2024, even 2025. I'm not exactly sure how long they go out, but it gives you a sense. It gives investors a sense of where they think rates are going to be, not just a month from now or even 2 months from now based on the Fed comments, but based on what the Fed members' economic prognostication, what they think is going to be in 24 and 25. So when we get this dot plot later today, that could be something that, again, that you take out, you do a reel on, you do a little green screen. If we have some resources that'll show you the dot plot, then we'll get that out to you. But it's basically just an estimation of what the Fed funds rate is going to be in the future, because we're always forward looking. We want to be forward looking. Unfortunately, the Fed in a lot of cases looks backwards, but this is one thing that looks forward. And one last point on all of this is, you all know this already, but right now it seems to be an inflection point that I've seen in the market, and you guys tell me, although you're not quite as tied in with the rates, but 7% seems to be kind of this inflection point. When we cross over 7%, we see contracts start to fall. We see borrowers if it's got a 7 handle on the rate, except for first-time home buyers, they might get a little bit more cold feet, but we could talk them through that. But 7% seems to be this inflection point. And right now we're in the low sevens, low to mid sevens, 7.25, 7.3. Mortgage News Daily, actually, the link will give you a good indication every single day of where rates are at. So it's a good indication. It's not biased in any way from what I've seen. But when we do get back below that 7, you're going to see seller concessions go away. You're going to see more competition. You're going to see more people coming into the market. If we get down into the mid 6s or low 6s, or even the high 5s by next year, then this whole thing's going to, I don't want to say the whole thing's going to turn around. We're not going to do a 180 and go back to the way it was a couple of years ago, but it will shift, and buyers will be at a disadvantage when putting in offers, especially first-time home buyers. To Ashley's point, right now you don't have as much competition. You can ask for seller concessions. You can do buy downs. In 3 or 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, that's going to flip, and they're not going to have those types of that type of advantage in the market. So that's what I would tell all your buyers, but especially your first-time home buyers. is now is the time to buy when rates are above 7, because this is when you're going to have the biggest advantage in the market. And, don't wait for rates to come down, because then you'll just end up getting priced out, or you won't get the home that you want.
I love this. You guys, let's go back to this chart here, because let's just think about history and what happened over the course of the last couple of years. When you think about this right here, in 2021, the year after pandemic started, what was going on? And you got to think about that. That is literally 13 points less than what it is right now of first-time home buyers in the market. First-time home buyers in the market in 2021 felt that they didn't have a chance. They were competing with these non-contingent offers well over asking price, getting outbid, had no chance. No, they couldn't even have a fight. Now look at that, number's gone up 13%. So what's going to happen when those interest rates start to go down? Then they're going to have less of an advantage than they do right now. That's why that number is so high. And look at it, since 2018, it's the highest it's been for first-time home buyers and how much of the population that they represent. So keep an eye on that. And that's something that I would talk to consumers about, especially if they were on the fence or they're having any troubles, if they're just kind of wrapping their head around it. But like, listen, you guys, in 2021, you had less of a fighting chance, and you didn't have an opportunity, because if you didn't have the funds to cover and you were trying to compete with these non-contingent offers, you didn't have an opportunity. Now it's more of a white-collar market, a blue-collar market. Like the average everyday person has a fighting chance to become a homeowner. The interest rates don't really matter, because over time that can change. The interest rate can go down, so on and so forth. But I would use this as a huge advantage when I was talking with my consumers and saying, now is the opportunity for you to strike while you have an opportunity, get into a home, start building equity, and then refinance down the road. Because I believe in 2024, 2025, that 50% is going to go down. That's personally my prediction. So who has some questions about this conversation for maybe Ashley or maybe Jeff? Anybody have some thoughts, contributions that they want to raise their hand and ask while we're here? If not, I'm just going to call on a couple of people just to kind of get your sentiment about where the market's at and just hear from you from the agent side. So before I go there, who has a question for Jeff or Ashley? Anybody? Do you guys find what they say helpful? Give me an emoji on the screen. Give me a hand up. Give me one of these. Give me a woohoo. Any of that. All right, cool. Awesome. Cynthia, that was just a hands up to like a thumbs up. Okay, cool. Cool.
No, it was a question about, or a question for the crew. Yeah. So as far as we've been focused on buyers this conversation. Can we shift over to how sellers should be reacting to this as well? And, if we are getting offers that are just at the asking price when we should be seeing offers coming in a little bit higher, we're seeing buyers coming in with, high 7 interest rates. As far as, how we should be advising our sellers, I know that typically in shifting markets, we advise them, the first offer to come in is probably going to be the best offer we're going to get. Is that still kind of the same theory that we're running forward with?
So I want to make sure I understand the question, because we have people like Chris B on the line today and some, veteran listing agents. We'll ask the question again one more time. I want to make sure I understand it so I hear it properly, and I want to make sure I paraphrase it. Ask the question one more time, Cynthia.
Yeah. So for sellers, with all these, all the news that's coming out, what should our advice be to them, essentially?
Okay. So Chris B, let's hear from you. Chris, can you hear me? Chris Barcenas. He's talking, but I don't know if Chris, can you hear me, bro? All right. It says he's off of mute, but he's not connected to the audio. What's up? Okay, so check this out. So I'm echoing. Somebody fix that. Okay. So Chris, Cynthia Peterson had a question saying that we've been talking about buyers this session thus far, but how are we prepping our sellers to help them, I guess, negotiate for higher offers when she said most of the times that first offer is that highest offer? How are we helping our sellers negotiate through this process when they might not be seeing as many offers. Like, what are you doing right now to get multiple offers, to get more engagement, to maybe, give it even a higher amount? Like, what's that process been like for you? Because I know you've been receiving multiple offers on listings.
Well, first and foremost, right after I follow up with the agent immediately.
Hold on really quick. Can one of you guys cut one of your phones? I don't know if it's Joe Ellen's or we're just getting an echo. And if not, we can come back to you guys. Let's try again, Chris.
Okay.
There it is. No, we're good. We're good.
Okay. So, I mean, it's pretty much you win or lose depending on what you set the list price at. That's number one.
Yeah.
Sellers are still thinking they're hearing the hype on the news about inventory is low, blah, 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 this and that. But you need to let them know that inventory is low, but affordability is also at an all-time low for 20 years. That's even bigger than inventory, like affordability. Like, millennials, a lot of Gen Xers, people are like priced out right now. So you got to let them realize you can't be greedy. If you want to make your next move and if you want to set roots in a new area, you can't be greedy because the affordability is all-time low. So you need to handle the objection up front. Even though there's inventory low, you can't just paint one picture. A lot of agents are painting one picture and say inventory is low, the market's hot. Inventory may be low, but affordability is low too. You got to paint both sides so they see the whole scenario and situation. That way they're realistic when they set the list price. So first and foremost, set the list price correctly. I like to do it like 3% under the current market value. Of course, it's based between wherever the area is. That way you get multiple offers, and of course we market it correctly. Once you get you do your open house for the first Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You follow up with every agent that approached it, every buyer, and just connect. Let them know what's going on. Let them know the situation, and then once you get your offers in, you gotta call the lender, see how strong the buyer is. Terms are, to me, just important or more important than the bottom line. Is terms. So pretty much, Joe Ellen also wanted to speak upon this, so I'll give her the mic as well. But you win or lose at the initial listing consultation and how you set your sellers' expectations correctly. So don't just paint one picture. You gotta show the whole situation and show them that affordability is at all-time low too. So don't get greedy. Price your house correctly. That's the only way you're going to get multiple offers.
I love it. And I'm coming to Joellen in a second, but Cynthia, let me ask you a question. Is the challenge that you're facing is that your sellers are trepidatious because they fear that they're not going to get the multiple offers or they're not going to go over asking? Is that what you're experiencing? Because I just want to make sure I understand also further.
No, we got an offer on a listing and over asking, but the sellers want more.
Okay. And are you able to leverage that offer, or do you have other people that are willing to write?
Not at this time, no.
No, okay.
Here's a case study. The last listing I sold, we priced it like 15 grand under market value. We got 5 offers in the first after the first weekend. They were all, one was list price, 4 was slightly over. I leveraged the highest offer, went back to all of them, let them know here's what needs to happen. So you just got to price it right. That's just how it is.
Cynthia, let me ask you a question. How close are they to the number that they want to get? Are they, hold on, Joellen, hold on. How close are they, Cynthia, to the number that they want to hit?
Like 20K.
20K. Now, based on days on the market, how many days have you been on the market so far?
About a week.
About a week. And then houses that sit at 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 4 weeks, are those houses getting significantly lower? Are they going at asking price? Do they have a disadvantage if they continue to wait and put more days on the market?
Yeah, the homes have just been sitting, and then when they do sell, they typically sell at or under.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're doing everything properly, because I would be showing them, hey, the longer that we wait, days on the market's a disadvantage. Now we're selling from a point of weakness, not a point of strength. If they have an offer that's over asking price right now and it's close to what they want, and the buyer's not willing to negotiate that offer at all.
Well, that's the other tricky thing, is that the list or the buyer's agent is traveling. So negotiations are pretty minimal, which sucks because I love negotiating.
Totally. And you're a great negotiator, but damn it. Okay. All right, cool. I got some context. Joellen's chomping at the bit here. She's just waiting to take herself off of mute. Joellen, let's hear from you. I know you have a contribution on the conversation, but you're muted. Come on, co-pilot Chris, let's go.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, so I'm kind of going through this right now because I wrote an offer on a buyer, and it's the sellers that want to, keep seeing if there's more offers out there, this and that. But what the sellers don't realize, either because the agents aren't voicing this, is that right now rates are volatile, right? We're coming out of our summer market. Anyone's credit can change in a matter of 30 days that now your buyer's going to fall out. So we need to reiterate those things, how fast you can lose a buyer, and if you have a strong buyer right now that can get the loan done within, let's say 11 days, whatever it may be, under 30, you have to hop on that, because you don't know what's going to happen with the Feds raising rates, people losing their jobs,
credit cards,
cards, everything. So if you have something now and you really want to sell, then this is what you have to take. Otherwise, we can wait until next year. Take it off the table. Take it from them.
Yeah, I love this takeaway close recommendation, because what happens if the interest rates go up? They're no longer able to fulfill the demands of their loan. They have a contingency window for their loan contingency, and now they have to back out of the deal because they cannot fulfill the demands of that loan. And then guess what? Your seller's back at square one, and now they're sitting at 30 days on the market. Now we're going into our fall season. I just think that they put themselves in a very, very tricky situation. So good point, Joellen. Ashley, I think I saw your hand up. Was that a new hand or was that an old hand? What's your thoughts and contribution on the conversation? Thank you, Joellen. Drive safely. I'll see you guys.
Just on a lender's perspective, I don't know if we're going to get $20,000 out of it, but maybe an idea. I know the buyer's agent is traveling, but if you can call the lender and find out what the pain point is, most of the time they're not looking
hold on, Ashley. We missed an important statement there. Cut your camera, because I think what you said was really, really important. There we go. Let's go back.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Okay. So from a lender's perspective, I know the buyer's agent is traveling, but maybe call the lender and find out what the pain point is of the buyer. Most of the time it's monthly payment. They're not looking at the overall purchase price. They're looking at monthly payment. So if they're willing to offer a little bit more, and maybe you get them a little bit lower of a credit than they're offering, maybe you can get the difference, depending on how much it'll appraise for, obviously, and all the other little things. But maybe you can offer, like, they can offer $10,000 to $15,000 more, and you offer them a $7,000 seller credit. They can buy their interest rate with that down. That'll take care of their monthly payment, and then everyone's happy. The buyer's happy because all they care about is their monthly payment. Seller's happy because they're getting, maybe they're not getting the full $20,000, but they're getting more than they thought they were going to get, and that might be able to be a way to meet in the middle.
Awesome. I love that. Let's go to Pam. Pam, what's your contributions, thoughts on the conversation?
I just want to say that when we're taking that listing, especially for newer listing agents, when you're taking that listing, you should have that plan already set up for the seller. Like, this was going to happen in the first week. We don't see, offers coming in. This we're going to do the price reduction, so that the seller has a better expectation of what's happening. So, like for Cynthia's client, for them to say we want more. If you have that hard conversation in the beginning, you won't get kind of get kind of caught up with this conversation now, opposed to in the beginning on where the seller's mindset is at, if that helps, or does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the vantage point. I appreciate the contribution. And oftentimes the expectations, no matter how hard we work towards getting their expectations clear, some people they don't get it. And then they experience loss and like, oh my God, we should have accepted that offer back in September that Cynthia got us, and now we have nothing, or we have to take an offer that is 10% lower than what we originally wanted. So Sometimes people are stubborn to a fault to where they have to experience a loss, and that's unfortunate. But I think, Cynthia, with your skills, and hopefully you're able to negotiate with that buyer's agent in between their travels, that you guys are able to find some type of because $20,000 in hindsight, that's not far off. I believe that you guys are close to some type of understanding and some type of agreement. That's not too far. So hopefully you guys are able to find an extra 5, an extra 7, and it makes sense for your seller. But good stuff, you guys. Great conversation thus far. I want to go over to Vernon. Vernon, I wanted to hear from you. You've had a couple listings lately. What are some things that you guys are seeing? You actually had a listing that was on the market that you felt wasn't going to sell. You weren't getting the traction, and then you got that thing into contract, and you got, did you go over? Did you get what the seller wanted? Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, that was very, thank you for your coaching on that, Elias. So we had listed this property based on our due diligence at 635. And so there had been some comps in the area that had sold slightly over and some slightly under. Now, our mistake was when we initially walked the property, it had furniture. And so now that the property is empty and we're preparing it for market, we discover all these scratches on the floor. And so tremendous amount of traction from the open house. We had our door knocking campaign on Thursday. We had our kind of like our twilight just for the community members on Friday, which was jam-packed. It was a party. The neighborhood is fantastic. The community is amazing. Saturday and Sunday, whole bunch of traffic, but no offers. A lot of interest, but no offers. And so we were going into the second week and held open houses again. A lot of traction, but no substantial offers. A lot of interest, pulling disclosure IO packets and all of that. But we had come to the point where we were considering a price improvement or offering a seller credit to kind of gain some more tangible traction as we're going into the third week. Now, data supports that properties in Oakley of this property profile, average days on the market are 18. At this time, we were at about 14. We met with you, Coach. I think we were at about 15, trying to get an idea of how to go about it. Now, after I delved deeper into my research, which my learning is this, I should have done this on the front end.
Like Pam was saying, yeah, for sure.
And so that was my learning that I brought from this situation. Well, as I delved deeper into my research, I'm seeing that, properties of similar profile are having a price reduction at a certain time frame, and then after that, they're getting multiple offers. And oftentimes they were over, at, or above asking. And so that's do that research on the front end, like go deeper into just beyond just a comparative market analysis and pulling comps. Let's go deep into it so that we can convey that potential information to our seller at the front end, right? Not going into day 15 and knowing that this property is it, but not getting any traction. So the day I got off my coaching call with Elias, probably like 2 hours later, we had been getting a tremendous amount of traction, but we actually got some tangible offers. And so we had to come to the acceptance of accepting an offer. We got multiple offers. We were able to leverage one against the other to get as close to our asking price as we could, slightly under asking. But considering the condition of those floors, we actually got over asking, right? So we were going to allocate $10,000, $15,000 in a credit for the buyer to actually address those floors, but we didn't have to do that. Came in slightly under asking, and now we're in contract and looking to close in a couple of weeks. But man, that was an experience and a half.
Yeah, I think too, there was some thoughts here, hey, if you're not going to stage it, then have it virtually staged. But there was a big, giant open space as soon as you walked in, and people were coming to the open houses, but they had no understanding of what the utilization of space would be. It was a blank canvas. And so instantly, where does your head go? You see this giant open space, but then you also see this giant stain on the hardwood floor. Where does your thoughts go? Like, oh, all I see is that. I'm not seeing the big picture of how I can use this as a living room, as a family room, of where would I put my furniture? So, food for thought, but congratulations. And you looked at the strategy, you did some things differently, and I'm glad that you guys got into contract. Let's go to one other person before we continue on. Let's go Aaron. Aaron, what are you seeing right now? Let's talk a little bit about the market. What are some nuances, some patterns, some things that you're seeing in your area based on the knowledge that you have right now about the industry, about the market? What are you seeing right now? Rapid fire. Let's hear from you, Aaron Crisp.
I'm still getting my feet wet on the real estate side of things. I am in lending. And so like Ashley was saying, I'm seeing first-time home buyers showing the most interest, whereas people who have owned before keep harping on the rates, and we have to continue to overcome those objections. But the first-time home buyers are magical. They're still into it. They seem to realize, maybe they've heard from other people, there's credits out there, there's things available. Some of them realistically think it's going to be like a 2000 crash again. But for the most part, they see an opportunity for themselves that they didn't see in 2021 or earlier. And so I actually have some people that have that I worked with on the lending side in 2020, 2021 that were supposed to get their credit and everything together, but they kind of fell off in the past couple of years because I guess they just lost hope. Now they're back. Like, hey, I did the things I need to do. Can we get back out there? And so I'm seeing a lot of promising hope from them. And then again, with the lending stuff, you just got to overcome the rates, and the reality of the world is this is just where we're at. And when we focus more on the payment and what can you afford payment wise, then it seems to calm them down. And so I've just been spending a lot of time working on trying to get people away from, the rates are at 7 1/8 or 7 1/2 or whatever, and more like what's the payment you're looking for. And when you get them to be more focused on the payment and less on what they're hearing on the news, it seems to kind of level things out for me. So,
yeah, I love this. And Ashley, I'll come to you in a second. I'll do a couple key takeaways. You guys, we all want to get more listing opportunities, and there's tons of listing opportunities out there. But if they're just not in a position to sell right now, we have to help them, look at how to leverage that equity. And we talk about this all the time, but I really want you guys to become experts on, well, how could you take some of that money and build an ADU? How can you take some of that money out of your property and purchase a short-term rental, a long-term rental, an out-of-state rental? What does that actually look like? So I want you guys to think of yourself as, like baseline economics. Like, how can you help them leverage what they have if them moving makes no sense at all, right? And we're going to try to convince them that, oh, you should move, and inventory's, well, it makes no sense for it. But I am sitting on $350,000 of positive equity, and can I leverage that to purchase something to essentially build and diversify and continue to build my wealth? And so that might not be the route of, hey, let's help you sell your home. Maybe that conversation's a little bit different. But let's wrap the conversation. Ashley, was that one more hand you had up?
Yeah, just quickly, something Aaron said reminded me of just a sentiment that I wanted to share. When interest rates were going from 5 to 6s and the whole world was freezing, I had 5 people get keys to their first-time home buyers. And the reason was exactly what he said he's doing. The last 2 years, all I've been doing is building people action plans. The last 4 years, all I've been doing is building people action plans. Your credit, your debt, your savings, what can we do? How can we get you to that place? So when those 5 people in a month, when the whole world was freezing, when they got to the end of their action plan, they could care less what interest rates were. They knew their action plan was done. They just wanted the keys to their house. So if you just focus on the activities and helping people and having them focus on what they need to do to get ready, I think it all comes together.
I love it. So let's do this, guys. Let's go around the room really quick and we hear from a couple of people. Nick Menke, what was some of your key takeaways from our conversation today? Let's go to you first.
Hey, Elias, how's it going? This is my first time jumping on the coaching call. As you might imagine, I have been very sick and I'm traveling, but I'm excited to get back into routine. So this has been an awesome experience. You've all shared incredibly valuable things to me and my business that I'll take with me going forward. Key takeaway here, and just key things that I've seen in my recent experiences too, is that buyers are out there. There are a lot that are very hesitant on, obviously lots and lots of things in the news. But I mean, the numbers show that, as of very recently, that 50% of, all new home purchases are first-time home buyers. And I think that that is a great statistic to share to other first-time home buyers who maybe feel a little bit of anxiety or hesitation. Yeah. So, come with confidence and come with stats.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff, man. And thanks for being on here. Appreciate you being on. Let's go to Dominique. Dominique, I know you're driving. You want to share a key takeaway from our sesh today? And we might not have Dominique because she is driving. Let's go. There she is. Hi.
Hi. Yes. Key takeaway is just knowing your market and knowing different aspects of the market, whether it's rental market, knowing the market of the stats of who's in the market, and knowing how to maneuver about it and make sure for your buyers and sellers that you are giving them the bigger picture of what's really happening and not just all the good stuff. Like, yeah, it's a great time to buy or it's a great time to sell for X, Y, and Z. You have to give them the bigger picture of what everybody is experiencing, them as well as the buyer or seller.
Totally. And there's a lot of things that are happening around us that go into what's going to impact interest rates. So it's your best interest to make sure that you just understand. I'm not telling you to go out and be an economic forecaster. That's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm encouraging you to do, what I want to implore you to do is just to educate yourself. 15 minutes to thrive, 30 minutes to fill your cup with real estate information, industry information, market industry information. That way you feel like you always have current information so your dialogue feels fresh. The moment where you feel like, oh, fuck, I got to say this again, it's just you're not reading enough. So really good stuff. I love that takeaway. Let's go to Jessica Alfaro. Jessica Alfaro, key takeaways from our time together. And then Johnny Tran, I'll have you close us out. Jessica Alfaro going once, going twice. All right, cool. Johnny Tran, you there? JT, going once, going twice. All right, cool. Let me go to Cortez. Cortez, I saw that your camera was on. Cortez, or Blessing, let's go to Blessing. Blessing, key takeaways from our time together today.
Good morning, everyone. I always appreciate how we collaborate. And I think this call was an amazing example of jumping on and not knowing what we're going to expect, but just the absolute transparency and collaboration with partners is a reminder to me to make sure that I'm leaning on my lending partners to help educate me on the market. The 15 minutes to thrive is definitely something I'm going to work in, but that market expertise and being able to connect the BLS report with what's going on, days on market, and being able to connect all of that, like the market expertise that was just displayed in the call just lets me know that it just takes practice. I'm not an economist today. I don't think that I ever will be, but just taking the little bits just is a good reminder that wherever you're starting in your business, you can input the actions to help your buyers and sellers get to what they need to do. So just great call all the way around. Take the time to, invest in the business if this is something that you want to actually be a part of.
I love it. Blessing. Thank you for the contribution. And you guys, listen, some of the stuff it's nothing new to you. You've heard it. If you've been at Keep It Moving for any amount of time, you've heard these things, but I always want to remain consistent to make sure that these are always the reminders that you guys need to hear to make sure that you're elevating to do the best that you can for your consumers. Last but not least, let's go to ODOG. ODOG, key takeaways from our time together today, and we'll close out the session. You'll be our last contribution. You're muted.
I think like we've been talking about, the whole subject matter today is just, keeping a hindsight of where we're at and knowing how to pivot, knowing how to inform your buyers and your sellers. It's a tricky time, but if you've been doing some escrows since last August, I think we were at the Zillow Team Flex meeting, and I'm going to say it again. Kenny had mentioned, if you've been doing good business since the past year, it's probably one of the worst times ever. So if you've been doing good business, then the doors are just going to open for you. This team gives us everything that we need as far as group coaching, script, role plays, everything, accountability courses, classes. I just say hunker in. We're getting to the point where it's later in the year, and, statistically, houses don't just fly off the shelf. So get in while you can and make sure you're smart and saving some money, because it could be a little dry. It could be a little wet, depending on who you are and how good your skill set is. But show up. show up, don't give up. Today, I missed my normal 6 o'clock workout, but I've been setting the tone with a lot of my friends. If you see some people reposting, Swole Patrol got about 10, 15 people going out and posting their workouts. So I'm never going to be a hypocrite. I'll never be a contradictor. So I got up and got my money today. Just show up and get your money. You'll be all right.
I love that. All right. So show up and get your money today, you guys. I appreciate all your contributions at a very, very high level. If you're a guest on the line today, hopefully this gave you an understanding of what partnership with us would actually look like if you were a part of our organization and you were a part of this as an actual team member. So thank you to all of our guests for tuning in today. Thank you for our lending partners. And thank you to all of our fast agents for tuning in. And as always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision. Have an amazing, amazing day. Peace.
Peace.